Dr. Graham, please, for the love of everything, just get a journal. It would save all of us so much time. It's talking silence.
I'm talking silence. They unravel the tale. Every twist, every turn, never fail. Movies, TV shows, and life and style. In the realm of pen and art, you find a big out. I'm talking silence.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to Talking Silence. This is talking about Season 1, Episodes 10 through 12. My name is Ryan Cam. I am joined by, Matt Wyatt, from another time, but I think Jacob Collins might be somewhere. Oh, there he is.
Oh, sorry, I'm Will Gramming it. I'm just like, I was here. I was just standing right here. Now I'm over here. Don't know where I am or whatever.
What's going on?
I'm just like, all of a sudden, I'm like standing in the kitchen cleaning a fish because I don't have enough common sense to go out there and outside and clean the fish. And so now I'm all of a sudden in a murder scene.
We shall get to that. But Jacob Collins, how are you?
I am great. I just, I'm sorry if you excuse me. I had an anal cough. Thank you very much.
Me in the future put what he is referring to in post here. Jason the old millennial, thank you for breaking your extended period of mourning because of the Chiefs losing to join us this evening.
Yes. Much mourning in Kansas.
He's like literally gonna kidnap like the quarterback of the Eagles and be like, put the lotion in the basket. I said, put the lotion in the basket.
Yeah, don't you hate it? Your team can't win 3 in a row. I mean, how much does that sucks when you can't win 3 in a row? Come on, Chiefs.
I mean, you know what?
Next Super Bowls.
Next year,
the chances of the Chiefs winning that Super Bowl went away like dust in the wind, and I hope somebody gets that reference.
Am I asking too much? 3 in a row? No, I'm just kidding.
You're not alone. I mean, my dad was the same way. My dad was.
Well, as far as Hannibal goes, we are almost like these 3 episodes are on the road to the season finale. And just as a bit of a programming note, we will be going live again, but this time we'll be doing it watch-along style. We're going to be live reacting to the season finale for season 1 of Hannibal. These guys have seen it, I have not, so that's what it is going to be going into it. But it looks like Dr. Lecter is setting up poor Dr. Graham to take a fall, but we shall get into that and so much more. But if you're watching the live version, chat is open, feel free. If you're watching the edited version, like, comment, subscribe, do the whole thing. Let's get into it, starting off with Season 1, Episode 10, called Buffet Freud, or I'm sure it's something fancier, but it's spelled F-R-O-I-D, and I'm calling it Freud, because Sigmund's not around. Beth LeBeau is found murdered, having drowned in her own blood as a result of her face being cut into a Glasgow smile. Graham's mental state continues to sharply decline. He loses hours at a time, and when a vivid hallucination causes Graham to contaminate the crime scene, Lecter refers him to a neurologist, an old residency colleague, Dr. Sutcliffe. So, Dr. Graham just needs to get a journal. This poor man needs, an ice cream. He needs something because this poor man is going through so much, and it's just painful to see.
I just feel like one thing I just dislike is like Hannibal's gaslighting the hell out of Will Graham. Just like literally like, oh, you're crazy.
Everybody is. Everybody is in this show.
It's like Will Graham's just sitting there, literally the first 10 seconds of the episode, cutting a fish open, and all of a sudden, like the first thing I was critiquing and going, who kills a fish, cuts a fish open on their kitchen table? Like, go outside, bro. Literally, you have enough, you don't have enough sense to go outside, and all of a sudden he looks at the blood, and all of a sudden he's just like in the covered in blood at a crime scene, and I'm just like, I would like to know, was Hannibal Lecter there? Like, did he just whisper in his ear, I'm in here, you're gonna go, and then all of a sudden he's like this.
He's going to be like Scarlet Witch from Avengers Age of Ultron. He's like hallucinating him to think that like all of those big ships are going through the wormhole.
What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, of the episode, or what do you?
Yeah, this episode right
The
here. We're
episode.
talking about.
I can't stop coughing. Yeah, I'm starting to. Anybody else get annoyed? I guess I am getting very annoyed by this whole Will Graham hallucinating, and I'll be honest, I was confused throughout this episode. I was like, I don't know what was real, what was not real. Like the whole time, I'm like, specifically like the scene where he goes back to the crime scene or whatever, and then the bed like gets toppled over, and then the killer girl there was like there, and I was like, is this real or is this hallucination?
Yeah, that was real.
To this day, I don't know if that was hallucination or that was real. And then she runs off and she grabs like part of her like skin or something. I don't know. And then he's all of a sudden like if I remember right, he's all of a sudden like in a forest yelling, and I was like, what are we doing? What are we in the forest now? I was so confused. And these hallucinations throughout the rest of the season are getting more confusing for me. Where I don't know. I don't like it. I don't know about you guys. I'm kind of getting annoyed by the whole hallucinating and confusion.
It's getting very old. It's getting very
It's like
old
Brian
for me.
Fuller saw Memento and said, "I can do this."
Yeah, it's like Memento. Except we don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Memento, I kind of know what's going on.
Like, I'm just sitting there watching this going, out of everything you could take from a movie, why the hell would you rip off Memento? It's like Brian Fuller's like, it's like the movie's already artsy. You really have to go that artsy with Will, just like where he's like waking up. I'm just like, why do we have to do this? Because I like Will as a character, but then you make it me where I hate this character because I'm like, Hannibal's the more interesting character because he's not every 5 seconds he's like, oh, I'm somewhere naked in the forest going, ah.
Did I do
Like
that?
every other freaking scene with Will is like, why am I like this? Why can't my brain just heal itself? I'm just sitting there like, sir, just take a walk in the woods. Do something. Get calm. Get like Headspace, a meditation app. Like that existed in 2013, right? Like just do something. Don't just sit and stew in that stuff. It's getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
Ryan, you got my notes. I'm gonna be right back. You got my notes?
Yes.
Okay.
Jacob has to go to the Bass Pro Shops. But with that being said, though, like we were talking about, Jason, Hannibal is the far more interesting character, and it seems like they're finally aligning him up to be like, okay, we're getting towards like that Hannibal Lecter. We're not there yet, but we're getting close.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I'm trying to think of. We're talking about this episode specifically, but
Yeah.
the pieces are starting to fit together. Where Hannibal's kind of behind everything in some senses. I guess we'll get more in that in the next episodes, but that's definitely more the interesting plot line is. The Chesapeake Killer and the Hobbs situation is the most interesting storylines of the show that we'll see in the next episodes. I think compared to even though this character, the one character, I guess, spills over to the next episode, I believe, or the next episode after that kind of spills over.
Yeah.
So they're not totally done.
Sutcliffe meets Eddie Izzard's character, but we'll get to that when we talk about Roti. But I just like I said, Hannibal doing the stuff with Georgia and just framing that murder. He's working behind the scenes like he's like the puppets with the strings, and I sort of just kind of wish that like season 1 would have been just about him, and then introduce Dr. Will Graham. Like there's a line, and I can't remember which one, where Jack Crawford says, I pulled Miranda Last from a classroom. I pulled you from a classroom. So I'm like, do that. Like have like Jack Crawford show up and like, Lecter. Interesting. I'll do that. And then just like have season 1 just like have Hannibal run like buck wild. And then season 2 be like, I'm Dr. Will Graham. I'm here to save the day. And then you can stretch it out to 2 or 3. I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking completely out of my rear end on that one, but I don't know. I just think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even understand what was going on in this episode. There's a girl who can't see faces, and she looks horrible. Her skin looks terrible. And maybe they said something and I missed it because I was like, why is she killing people? I don't think I ever understood that.
She has some kind of disease, and I'm forgetting what disease it is. Me in the future look it up and put it somewhere in post right around here. But she basically has very pale skin, and she gets hurt easily.
Yeah.
And then I'll admit the creepiest part of the episode is when she walks in on Hannibal doing the deed, and she like the whited out face, or not the whited out, but like she can't see his eyes and his mouth. It looks like he's wearing the mask from this slasher movie last year called It's a Wonderful Knife, where it looks like snowed in glass. I don't know. That's the first thing that I came up with it anyway.
I will say that. Well, the idea is like it's not her killing anybody. She never killed anybody. It's Hannibal kills everybody, and then she basically follows like Hannibal's the Chesapeake Ripper is the one, which is Hannibal Lecter, is the one going around killing these women, and then basically he's kind of setting like especially like whenever she's there because she's following Will Graham and she's been following his idea. The idea that's and like she's been following broken people. And so Hannibal, I guess she's been following him as well. Like, and I think the idea is the twist is Will thinks he's following him, but really she's following Hannibal Lecter. And then it goes back to at the end where she does follow Will because Will was the only one there because Hannibal left her there with the scissors. And then basically Will was still there, so she just left and followed Will and hid under his bed. But really it's Hannibal Lecter is the one that's killed. She's never killed anybody. In fact, she was just a pawn in the game because she's crazy. Everybody's going to assume that she did it. So that's why Hannibal chose her as the pawn because it's like, well, I can do this and no one's going to believe me because there's no DNA. And that's why he gave her the scissors. Like, it's like kind of like, remember in Halloween 4, I don't know if not Halloween 4, but Halloween Resurrections. I don't know if y'all seen that one.
Unfortunately, yes.
There's a scene where Michael Myers kills a security guard. Then there's a crazy person that's like reading Michael Myers' file. And then he hands him the knife and then leaves the door open. It's kind of like that situation where he's like, okay, I'm setting you up as the pawn. That's why because he killed 2 people, the female, and then he killed that. Which I don't know. It never really explains why Hannibal chose her friend. I think maybe because Hannibal my theory is either he thinks that she's going to be, he could use that because, I guess maybe he reads her file or finds her or something and he knows she's being followed because Hannibal knows he's being followed.
He's smart enough to realize that, he's smart enough to realize that people are starting to get wise to him, which is why he's doing these little, he's planting seeds with, Gillian Anderson's character, and we'll get to that.
But I think, with her, what's the thing that made me mad? Okay, there's some things I do like. I do like that, I like when the forensic guy said there's another set of prints beside yours, and there's another set of prints. And it said, besides yours, and Will goes, sorry. Because he got his prints all over the knife, and he goes, sorry. Yeah. I thought that was funny. We go, sorry.
Yeah.
That made me laugh. I was like, all right. And then Hannibal's line, now that we can confirm what it has to be, it would be easier to hide it from Will. And I'm like, I like that line. Because basically, they say, yes, he has a mental disorder, but he tells his friend who's a doctor, let's hide that, I'll use that when it comes to my advantage. And I'm like, you're a really piece of shit for telling. And then Hannibal kills him to basically cover his own tracks up, where it's like,
yeah. So he has dinner with that doctor, right? And
he has.
The whole time I'm thinking, man, Hannibal's the last guy I want to have dinner with, like a soul. I'm like, I kind of felt like, oh, I don't feel safe about this guy.
Well,
and
he's
then
not going to kill you if he invites you to dinner. That's the first thing you should know by now. Like, if he invites you to dinner, you're fine. Now, if you're not at the dinner table, that would be a problem then.
Right. But then did he think that he was onto him and that's why he killed him?
I think mostly it was to cover his own tracks because he's like, if this guy ever decides to tell people, hey, Will Graham does have something wrong, Hannibal Lecter just lied, then Hannibal could lose his license, or they could he could lose Will's friendship, and he doesn't want to lose either. And so he goes, I'm just going to have to kill him because he's a liability. And so even though he's like, I'm friends with the guy, but I'm not good friends with him. I mean, he's just a colleague really more than anything. So he's like, he's going to have to die. And so
Yeah.
he chose the perfect opportunity when Will goes under. So that's why, which I'm thinking, he doesn't have cameras. Like you would see Hannibal Lecter just walking through.
Like the amount of kooks that he deals with on a fairly regular basis, I would like have some kind of security in place. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying too. I'm just like, I don't understand that. That to me is just the one thing I'm like, okay, come on. Like Will Graham's just like, which also the way she can't see a face. Okay, I can understand not seeing faces, but you can still see his hairline. I mean, he's still easy to pick out. Like I could draw, and then like, doesn't that look like Hannibal Lecter to you? Doesn't it look like
Someone's
It's kind of
question.
dumb he doesn't wear like a mask or something. Like at least John Kramer wore the pig mask. I'm like, what are we doing here?
I mean, also, what if Will would have woke up by then? I mean, still.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
yeah, Will, you caught us at an awkward time.
Like
Uh,
Hannibal's looking at it like I've got at least half an hour. That's all the time I need. Eat
yeah.
stretch.
He's like, okay, I'm trying to get this. I'm trying. He's like, I'm trying. He's like, I'm trying to get this out. And then she walks in and he goes, I like how he just looks up like this. Like he just looks up and she's
Yeah.
right behind him. He looks up like this and goes,
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought that was great. I'm like, because he knows someone else in the room with him. He's like, also, also Will's doctor's death was great. I liked how he just like opened him up, almost like he was in a saw trap.
Yeah, that was pretty gross. I did like that.
And Will helping somebody else with mental issues like his own, like this girl has mental issues as well. And
Yeah.
I thought that was great. I like that. I thought that was really great.
Mhm.
I mean, also, one thing also I think that the thing also, I just thought also like, would it make no sense though? Doesn't it not make any sense that literally that Will, like you're like a doctor literally says, oh yeah, we'll cover for this, so that way Will won't be able to like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just saying, like I said, like for instance, like the doctor is saying, like, oh, we're gonna cover for this and everything, and I just thought that would be like, I was like, no doctor would say, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. I'm like, there's bullshit. Okay, really, this bullshit. I'm like, no. I'm just thinking, like, watch this going. Am I crazy, or does this not seem like ethical? Like that doctor would say, look, Hannibal, we're good friends and all, but like, I am not gonna go tell a man who has problems, brain disorders, oh yeah, you're fine. Like he goes, I could lose my license if he goes to a second opinion. What if he gets a second opinion?
Yeah.
The Hippocratic Oath exists for a reason.
Okay, I gotta go grab my notes because I literally just sent you the pause. I didn't send you the negatives. I gotta go grab my notes real quick, okay? Because I want to say, I want to talk because I want to ask about what did y'all think about the girl's like how her when he grabs her arm, like her skin rips off.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty good too. I mean, Jason, we were talking about like what disease she has. Me in the future put it again here, but I don't know. I just saw it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm glad I got my. That's like one of those things where you're grateful for your relative health, or you just like, yeah, like that's a good time to like thank God you're of like good strength and all of that.
Which what I like about all right, so I got my notes right here. Sorry. I can't believe I didn't send the notes. Usually I send all the dislikes. Okay, so for this one, my dislikes was okay, the camera doesn't exist. I just refuse to believe that the doctor would lie. I just can't believe the doctor would lie. And like I just think this, like, for instance, I just can't believe also when Will grabs for her hand, why doesn't her flesh of her hand not come off,
Yeah, it's on the arm.
I was like, that made no sense to me. And also, but I do like the fact that I thought the deaths were pretty cool. I especially like how the woman was just like nail gunning her, like her tarp, and then all of a sudden she just gets pulled under and then her face carved in.
Oh yeah, the blood splatter, that was pretty. I was like, oh, what is going on? That's some good blood splatter.
Are we going to ratings now?
Yeah. Jacob, go ahead.
I'm gonna give this. I thought this episode was real. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 because I thought it was. I like how it was Hannibal was framing her. I mean, besides, I would give it a higher rating, but like I agree with Jason. Like I hated how Will kept jumping around and everything. Where it's like, I don't know where I am. I don't know where I am. Like I'm just like, I always like, does he have dementia or something? Like, I mean, he's too young to have dementia. So I'm just thinking like, there's no way.
Something like that.
I mean, when my grandmother, rest in peace, when she was in a home and she was having dementia, there was a woman in her like early 50s who had it. So it's not entirely uncommon.
But he was like, I mean, but he's 35, or at least like
He's younger.
Jason's
Yeah.
age. He's Jason's age. I mean, like he's Jason's age. Jason, do you have dementia? You don't have you don't have dementia yet, do you?
Not yet.
Speaking
I-
of,
I wish I did after the Chiefs game. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, that's harsh.
I wish I forgot that game existed.
speaking of, like,
When is the next Chiefs game? It already happened. What? When is the next Chiefs game? It already happened. You're saying it already happened. It's tomorrow. No, it already happened. No, that's not. Like, okay, you know what? Yes, it's tomorrow. Okay.
come on, Grandpa, Price is Right is on.
Like my life,
Jason,
I live in 2023. That's the only year I can live through, and every year I think it's 23 again. And the Chiefs did it again.
Yeah. You know what? Next year, man. There's next year. They're going to win again. The only thing that sucks is Patrick Mahomes won't get the 3-time, won't win the 3 times in a row award, But you know what? We'll send the Chesapeake Ripper after the Eagles, okay? Let's be like this.
well, Jason, what's your score?
Yeah, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. I was, again, very annoyed by the whole hallucination thing. Also bored with a lot of the episodes spent time dealing with his mental illness, which I wasn't as interested in. I don't know. And yeah, the whole killer thing I was confused by. But anyway, so yeah, it wasn't one of my favorite.
I'm with Jason. I'm going 6 as well. There was just like the where am I? Like that part I just did not care for. But there's some good stuff here. But thankfully, these next 2 episodes are a little bit better. So let's move on now to season 1, episode 11, called Roti. Dr. Abel Gideon escapes from custody and begins targeting the psychiatrist who attempted to treat him, displaying their bodies with a Colombian necktie. While Alana Bloom is put under protective custody, Gideon kidnaps Dr. Frederick Chilton and lures Freddie Lowndes into a trap, forcing her to write an article about him. Meanwhile, Graham's undiagnosed encephalitis drives his temperature up, causing severe hallucinations. More hallucinations, yay. But at least we got Eddie Izzard back, and that's a very good thing indeed. This is my favorite episode of the 3.
Yes, it's mine too.
Me too.
I mean, no one's really going to say the next one because the next one's fucking boring.
Yeah, it really was. But we get a Frederick Chilton, not cameo, but like an appearance here. And I mean, Chilton, I remember from Silence of the Lambs being just a real douche canoe.
He is kind of a douche in this one, but not as big as the one in like Silence of the Lambs.
Not as extreme, but something tells me we're getting there.
So I did like the Gideon escaping and everything, and I like I didn't call it I called it the French neck death. You get it?
Oh yeah,
the French kiss, but with the French neck death. Where has a tongue in the neck. I call it the French neck death. That's what I called it.
Oh, I did not think about that.
Like, cause this was like a tongue in the neck. I was like, I know which I was just like, which I'm just thinking. I was like, he's very, you could say what you will about Gideon, but he's very creative when it comes to the tongue. He knows his way around the tongue.
Yeah, he's really good.
He knows how to keep it interesting. He doesn't get tongue tied too often. Jason, what did you think?
Yeah, I loved the last episode that Eddie Izzard was in. That was my favorite episode that we had so far. I love the whole Chesapeake Killer case, or what do you want to call it? Plot line. I think it's the most interesting plot line of the season. And they kind of went away from it, and then they came back on this one. Yeah, so I was really happy. I think Eddie Izzard does a really good job of playing a psychopath. somehow. It's funny. Eddie Izzard's a stand-up comedian, and
Yeah.
and I see him in a lot of dramas. It seems like every once in a while, it's like I don't see him in a lot of comedies. I don't think if I ever do see him. So I'm always like, Eddie Izzard, like, man, he does a good job. Underrated actor, I guess. His whole plot line was great, and man, some some really gruesome imagery with the cutting out the organs and hanging them on trees or something, and like, what the heck? Because I guess he's a orphan, so he knows
He's
his
an
way.
interior designer, really, if you think about it. I mean, he was really mission's passion.
Yeah, and he's so calm, so crazy. He's like the calmest guy, and it's like, what a man, really brutal psychopath. So I did like that. We did get some hallucinations, so there's some moments where I'm like, okay, did this happen? Did this not happen? With Will, because it's like there's scenes where it's like he's there and then he's not there. Oh, doesn't he bring? This is the episode where he brings them to
Hannibal.
Hannibal, right? But then
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's not there, so now we don't know. Was he there?
Yeah, he was there. He brought him to he brought Gideon to he brought Gideon to there, and so he kept seeing Gareth Jacob Hobbs. So he was like, which I'm thinking, if I'm Gideon, I'd be like,
yeah.
he can't get me.
You know how Buffalo Bill is a big old mark for Hannibal Lecter? So is Dr. Abel Gideon. I mean, let's not get that twisted. Like, honestly, I was thinking the entire time, why couldn't have this season been just about him?
Yes.
Like, have the FBI go after him and then get him and then realize that, like, Lecter was the real monster the whole time. Basically, the Chesapeake Ripper exists as, like, a siren, I guess. Like, not a police siren, but, like, a siren from Greek mythology where like, it calls all of the psychopaths into one. Something like that.
I do like that Gideon was taking credit for the Chesapeake Ripper's kills, even though they kind of figure like you're not the Chesapeake Ripper, like they figured it, but he still wants to be it. He's like, I am the Chesapeake Ripper, and then it's like, no, you're not. Like everybody's like, no, you're not.
Illusions.
I am though. I really am. It's like it's like you're trying to convince people. I am. Look, I did all these crazy deaths like the Chesapeake. Which I will say I did like. I thought this is the stupidest thing was Freddie Lounge is a moron for not telling this is Gideon's voice on the phone, because whenever she called, I'm like, that's Eddie Izzard's voice.
I'm like, it's a trap.
Like, you're supposed to be a journalist, Miss Lowndes. Like, put two and two together here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally just like, oh, hello, I am Dr. I'm like, that's Eddie Izzard's voice. I'm like, are you stupid?
Like, Collins, if
I'm like,
you call me up,
call the police.
If you call me up on the phone, Collins, if you call me up on the phone, I pick up and you say to yourself, hey man, this is Kyle from Flet's Pop Culture 13, and I know Kyle has a very distinct voice. I know it's not going to be him. It's going to be you.
Hey,
and I'm not a journalist. I wrote for about 6 months, but I'm not a journalist.
Hey, this is Pop Culture 13. How are you doing, man? I look, I couldn't do his voice, but I mean, I could try. But I'm like, he would still be like, Collins, is this you? Oh man,
Yeah.
Freddie Lounge, is this Dr. Gideon? No. That just imagine that's how it would have been like if Freddie Lounge first thought she instead she goes there and all of a sudden he's just killing the doctor and all of a sudden he's like he goes I'm gonna take you, and he takes her to see, which I'm like, I thought that was great that he took all the organs out just to set them in his hands like an egg basket.
Yeah.
That was organs. Like he's still alive. She's like, he just wanted her to watch. He goes, I just want you to do an article, take some pictures and write an article about me. I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to want you to write an article about me. And then she was just like, okay.
He was also kind enough to leave behind that doctor's blood in a conveniently placed, like, little lunch pail looking thing.
Yeah, like how he said, remember we got the organs that donate to the Red Cross?
He's a psychopath, but he also has a heart.
But yeah.
Literally, both figuratively and literally, Ryan.
Psychopath of the heart of gold.
He's a regular Harry Warden.
Did any of y'all get like scared a little bit whenever you opened up and you saw his heart beeping and everything, and he's just sticking his
That-
hands in, first off, unsanitarily. He didn't wear gloves, just stuck his hands in like this. And I'm just like, I'm like, dude, at least put gloves on if you're gonna go in somebody's body. And instead, you're slapping him in the face. You're already contaminated with your gloves on. Now you're slapping this man. You're made skin to skin contact. That right there, I'm like, I'm just sitting there watching, this going, that's so unprofessional. So unprofessional.
Oh yeah, just the way he talks to his victim, it's just, oh my gosh, it's so calm. And
Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but you work in the medical field. I'm sure you must have been just like, he's doing it wrong. He's doing it wrong. He's doing it wrong.
I'm just like, like all of a sudden I'm watching this going like, amateur. I'm just like, amateur. Which I will say one thing. is, I will say Will. I thought Will. I thought Gideon kidnapping Chilton and taking his arm. I like that. I also like Will taking, like, he kidnaps him. He takes him to Hannibal, and then Hannibal basically gaslights him. Oh, Gideon's not here. Jacob Hobbs he's like, and all of a sudden Will freaks out, and then all of a sudden Hannibal basically tells him like, I can tell you where Dr. Alana Bloom will be. Which I could have swore. I think this is this. I don't know. Never mind. I was going to say something, but I think that's for a later season. But there's supposed to be a conversation I think him and Gideon had that they show that scene later. But which I do like that Hannibal basically tells him that he was upset that he insulted, like, you took credit for another man's work. Like, I thought, I was like, he was not happy that you're taking credit for my work. It's like, that's not cool.
Your id is showing, Dr. Lecter.
Yeah, I'm just like, which, I mean, he made sure Will was out of it. Like, he slapped him around, like, he goes, he's out of it. Okay, now we can talk business.
Yeah.
It's like, if he wanted to kill him, he would not, he didn't bring him here, but I was like, if he wanted to kill him, he would have made sure they went outside first. He says, I'm not going to kill you, which, by the way, Will didn't kill him, right? Like, Will just shot him, right? He's not dead, right?
No, I don't think he killed him, no.
Oh, he didn't? Okay. I wasn't sure what was going on there.
I thought he killed him, but I'm like, no, I think I could have swore. I think he's in season 2, one episode in season 2.
Okay.
I could have swore I could be wrong, but I could have swore. I'm like, I know, because when I'm like, I know, I'm pretty sure he's in season 2, one episode, like in season 2. Because I could have swore like he is. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I might have to check. I'm kind of scared. Which I will say, I did also. I did not like this though. I didn't like also the laptop would either be dead or need to be turned on. Like, literally, they just like push the button on the laptop. They just push that button on the clicker, and all of a sudden the laptop comes on. I'm like, do they not know how laptops work? Like, if I just set a laptop there and I use like my mouse, then it's not going to come on. You have to literally go up there and hit that button to turn on. Even in 2013, you're going to still have to go turn it on. But click.
Or at least enter like a password or something.
I mean, imagine if they would have had to go through a password. Be like, now we'll never know. So, Gideon had to put a note. Gideon leave a note that said password is 4528 or something. Click. Might as well put an arrowhead and said use laptop. Password is this. But also Hannibal is like the king of gaslighting Will and tricking him. Like, Gideon's not there. I'm just thinking, also, I do like that Will was having a heart-to-heart, because when he went there to kill Alana, he just sat there and was just like, I don't want to do this. I'm crazy. And him and Will had that heart-to-heart before then Will shoots him. Because he knows, like, well, I can't take him anywhere. And also, if he, like, what if I spaz out again and then he's going to
he's going to kill, yeah. So.
And so, yeah, but I thought this was a great episode, and everything. And I thought, really, Eddie Izzard.
Yeah, it's
great.
Yeah, he's a severely underrated part of this whole season. I would have loved if he had been on more. Maybe it was a contract issue. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to see if I think what it is because him and Brian Fuller are friends. Because I know he was in that. Remember that one that the Monsters pilot they did called Mockingbird Lane.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They did a pilot for it. that Bryan Singer directed called Mockingbird Lane, which was supposed to be a more darker version of the monsters. And Eddie Izzard played Grandpa Monster in the pilot.
Okay.
I completely forgot about Mockingbird Lane. So did a lot of people.
I mean, which I understand that I understand that Eddie Izzard, but then I think because then he got Hannibal a year later, which I'm glad Mockingbird Lane didn't happen because Brian Fuller would not have been able to do Hannibal if Mockingbird Lane had been a success. Yeah, so I think that's really great that I mean, it's really great that which I'm sitting there looking, I'm trying to look for Eddie Izzard. Say Eddie Izzard. But yeah, I do like this. I do like this episode. Though. I think this episode really does sanctify, because Hannibal to me, I like the show a lot, and I think that I think honestly, wow, it says he's in 6 episodes.
Wow.
All right.
Well, Jacob, 1 to 10.
If I had to give this a score, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. Or no, you know what? No, 9 out of 10. I think it's really good.
There you go. Jason?
I give it 10 out of 10, just like I gave the other episode Eddie Izzard was in. Those are my 2 favorite episodes so far, is the 2 that Eddie was in. I like the whole storyline.
Well, I'm with Collins. I'm going to go 9. I don't think it's that good, but it's still really, really good. And honestly, I haven't seen the finale yet, but this will probably be one of, if not my favorite episodes of the whole season. But now let's take a slight dip in quality and let's talk about season 1, episode 12, called Releve. Following an offhand comment by Graham, a comb, left in the chamber of Georgia Madchen, who accidentally sparks a fire inside her hyperbaric chamber and is burned to death. We'll get to that. Angered, Graham deduces that several recent murders were all the work of a copycat pattering after recent serial murderers, and that Georgia was killed because she may have remembered the face of whoever had killed Dr. Sutcliffe. So this is a death straight out of Final Destination, Collins. I think we can agree, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't care which one. It fits right in. All that's missing is Tony Todd going, "I'll see you soon." That's all that was missing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think this episode, though, is out of all 3, this is my least favorite.
Yeah, this was not it.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I just checked. Eddie Izzard is in season 2 of Hannibal. Yeah. So I just
good.
It's not I just checked that. I was like, oh yeah, he is. But yeah, I will say though, this episode, I just honestly, it's like that one. Remember last week or the week before, whenever we covered the episode, the 3rd episode, which was the Monument of Faces, whatever.
Yep.
I honestly just feel like it's just like this episode. It's just there's no real villain. I like when there's a villain, and I hate when it's ever just like, oh, is it Hannibal or isn't it? I feel like I like when that works, but it feels almost like the show has the problem with Supernatural has, where when it's about monsters of the week, it's more entertaining, but when you try to do a main storyline, that's when you kind of lose me. Like when Supernatural tried to do Monsters of the Week, it's fun. But then when they try to do a main storyline, that connects, that's when it felt like, all right, I don't give a shit. And I think that's with Hannibal, which I want them to cover. But I feel like it's fun whenever you try to do breadcrumbs about who Hannibal is, because obviously we know he's not going to go to prison at the end of the season. We know he's not going to become like Hannibal Lecter. We all know and hate, and everybody's like, hey, it's Hannibal. We know it's there's 3 seasons. We know it's going to be they're going to play this out as much as they can, because the first season, they're not just going to, automatically season 2 he's in prison and they're like, hello, Clarice. I think they're trying to play this out, and I think, and I feel like they're trying, I feel like they're trying to kind of speed it up a little bit to be like, well, you know what, let's because now Will's suspecting, now they're all trying to well, maybe is Hannibal involved somehow? And I think, what do you guys think?
No, I completely agree.
I mean, I like the episode. I guess I don't know. You guys didn't, I guess. I like it better than 10, but not as good as 11. Yeah. Um, yeah, I like the investigating the girl that got. I like that that was a spillover of the one episode. That was kind of interesting because I thought we were done with that character, and then the character came back, and what they did with her, and I guess I don't know if someone murdered her. I don't quite understand.
Hannibal left a hairbrush in there.
Okay, he did. Okay,
Yeah.
trying to connect
Because he's trying to cut her. He's trying
Yeah.
to get rid of her to
Yeah.
cut loose ends, just like with the doctor.
yeah,
Because she saw his face, even
Yeah.
though eventually she might put two and two of how he looked. And so it's like, hey, I don't want that on me. So I'm gonna. So when she was sleeping, he put a hairbrush in there or a cone in there for her.
yeah. Okay, so I was thinking something. I'm guessing. Yeah, she was murdered. That it wasn't just an accident.
No.
What would be the purpose unless it was, and it made sense that he would want to, in case because she did see him even though she couldn't see his face. But I like that everybody was like, oh, it was just an accident, and Will's like the only one that's like, no, he was the only one who was convinced. But yeah, it did look like an accident. It's hard to convince like that was not just an accident. And so I like that he was like the one that was like trying to put it together that this was on purpose. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. Whole investigation. I like they deal with that one guy that kind of deals with the bodies more. He's the one that takes the pictures. It seemed like he had a little more to do.
The forensics guy.
Yeah.
That kind of studies the body more or whatever. I like that.
In the pajamas, wore his pajama flannel. Just he's like, oh, this is normal, and I'm like, if that's normal, that's why people don't, because it's like so dangerous. Like all of a sudden you sneeze, and all of a sudden, that's you. Or you fart, sorry, anal cough, and anal cough happens, and all of a sudden,
you'd be dead.
you better clench your ass cheeks together because you're gonna be dead if you light one out. Like, whoa, and all of a sudden, what happened? Son of a bitch farted. I was like,
I like how Will's starting to piece stuff together, because of course this was kind of a setup for the last episode, whatever, because it's like the season's almost over, so we got to start wrapping things up. So it felt like an episode where we're starting to wrap things up. He's starting to piece the Chesapeake Killer, with Hobbs maybe or whatever, or he's piecing like, and Ian Crawford's like, you're trying to piece this with this, like, like no one really like believes him, but as an audience we know he's on to something. We're like, oh, he's on to something. Now he's just got to convince everybody else.
No, we're all like, we know who it is.
And I like that last scene. The last scene I thought was really good with him and Abby, and he reveals himself to her. I know, and the way they ended it on the cliffhanger, I thought that was really good.
Yeah. I do like that Jack is kind of like was asking Hannibal's therapist questions about Hannibal and everything. Which, to be fair, I was angry. I was so angry because I'm like, does patient confidentiality, Dr. Patient, not exist in this episode? Because I mean, like, you could just say, I can't tell you shit because I could lose my license. Hell no, I'm not telling you shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this conversation should have been a non-starter. Be like, sorry, like I'll get arrested, probably by you. So like, and you'll get arrested too. So no, sorry.
Like, oh, Hannibal, let me tell you a story about how Hannibal one time. I'm like, what? And then also Hannibal then tells the same thing. Then tells, Jack about the conversations he has with Will. I'm like, that's nobody in this universe. Like, I'll really tell you about all my patients, all shit. Here's also some recordings too.
Oh yeah,
here's a recording too. Also,
yeah, that's
to
right.
which I'm just like, does he even ask Will? Like, also, I mean, there's so many red flags right here in this moment. I'm like, what? Like, I do like though that Hannibal's therapist did talk about the former patient that attacked her, that he swallowed his tongue. To which I'm like, that's a nod to Silence of the Lambs. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember how it says another patient, Hannibal Lecter made the guy swallow his tongue.
Oh, yeah, he talked to him to swallow. I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's a nod to Silence of the Lambs, which we will see that moment happen. I think in season 2.
Okay.
Or it might be the finale. I could have swore it was this season, but yeah, that episode with the, you won't believe who plays the patient either.
Don't spoil it for me, please.
I'm not going to say, but I'm saying it is a very famous actor who plays it. But I will say I do like that the Hannibal's therapist telling him to stop doing what he's doing to Will Graham, because Hannibal, I will say, Hannibal is very honest and open with his therapist. Hannibal tells his therapist everything. I don't know if he told her that he's a serial killer. I think he does.
I
don't
wonder.
No, I don't think he's gotten quite that far yet.
But
Yeah.
I mean, he does. He is straight up with her. Like, he's never lied to her. So I mean,
Yeah, she seemed very trusting of him, so I wondered that myself.
I mean, I will say he tells her everything. Like, he literally would never lied to her. Like, I think I don't know this for a fact, because I mean, I can't. I'm not trying to be facetious. I really don't know. I mean, by the time we get to season 3, I'll tell you 100. I'll know 100%. But as far as I'm aware of, I don't think she knows that he's the Chesapeake Ripper at this moment.
Yeah,
But I know
something-
that
Something
Sorry.
tells me she's going to know very soon.
But I know that he tells her everything. Like, he's never lied to her once or gaslighted her. He's the one that's always been straight up with her. Like, he even tells her, like, yeah, I'm doing this to Will. Yeah, I'm tricking Will into making. I'm like, which right there, that should have been reported to, oh yeah, Hannibal told me last week that he's doing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but but I think he trusts her because he's the one person that I think she's the one person Hannibal can trust, and that Hannibal knows will not betray her. Because there's a reason why, and that goes into that episode with the patient. That there's a reason why they have a trusting bond. So I can't really say, because that's spoiler for down the road, I think, whatever. But you'll find out why. But she trusts him and he trusts her. But and so it's so he doesn't think that And also, I think that I will say that Hannibal. I do think though that first off, you have a great therapist if she's not telling Jack everything. Oh yeah, by the way, he told me all this shit he did to Will. Because the fact is, Hannibal doesn't have to make a call to her. Hannibal doesn't show up to her house in a raincoat and be like, "Gotta cover my tracks up today." Instead, he's just like, "I don't have to kill her. I don't have to worry about killing her." Because I don't have to worry about it. She's not gonna say nothing. I know it. So it's if Hannibal suspected she would say something, then I think he would act on that, immediately. Because he's like, "I'm not an idiot. I know." But I think Hannibal can play. Hannibal's playing chess. We're all playing checkers, and Hannibal knows that there's only one person.
Got the longest.
If he suspects somebody else is on the chessboard, then he immediately has to act on that. Because he's like, I cannot have that happen. No. Now I will say I do like how when Abigail Hobbs, how he basically tells her everything. He says,
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, more than your father.
More than your father, yeah.
A lot more.
A lot. We'll just say a lot.
What do y'all think about that though? That he just tells her everything. Do you think she's going to turn him in? Do you think she's going to confess? What?
I think he's going to become like her. She's going to become his pawn, and work to get Will in, because Will's been acting not super regular lately, and Hannibal's been, on the face of it, solid as a rock. So on a surface level, just no context whatsoever, you look at it and you go, well, one is clearly more sane than the other. We all know that that is not the case, but Abigail doesn't know this. So I say that she basically works to get Will to go in, and something bad's going to happen to him.
What about you, Jason?
I mean, I don't know that she survives. It kind of
You can guess. I mean, no one really knows. Nobody really knows. I mean, it's just a fun guess. I mean,
left
if
open.
you knew, it would be fun. You'd be like, well, I think this happens because I've seen it.
I'm assuming he's going to kill her. That's why he told her all this stuff. But I don't know.
I think she is a tool to be used in this moment, and then when she's done being useful,
Well,
away she goes.
I think he's going to kill her and try to frame Graham maybe on it, and
Yeah.
that's how
I agree.
that's how he gets Graham. That's my guess. Yeah, that was interesting. How and I thought the actress did a really good job. The actress that played Abigail.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
I
that
like how they find out evidently. Like Jack, I like when Jack says we have evidence that she was involved with her dad. She helped her dad kill people, and then Hannibal basically looks. His face was like, "Oh shit." All right, so he said, "This is bad because it's going to look bad on him." Because you don't think she's going to narc on him, like saying, "Oh, Hannibal Lecter helped me kill one of the people." You know, like I'm just thinking, like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's like that's gotta like so that's why he kind of gets her to, like, hey, look, yeah, I'm going to tell you everything. It's like I got to tell you everything, which I'm not going to say what happens, but it's very interesting in the finale. Because everything will come to fruition in the finale.
What interesting is his reason why it seemed to be he just says like I just want to see what happens, and wasn't that his reasoning?
Yep. I mean, because really, I mean, to be fair, like, I mean, Hannibal Lecter, I mean, like, he actually, I don't know. I think sometimes I think the way Brian DeFuller described it as, it's kind of like a father-daughter situation where Hannibal Lecter is kind of like the surrogate father to her.
Uh-huh.
That's what I got. Yeah.
Like, he's kind of like like he said, it kind of sees it like Interview with a Vampire, and it's kind of like with Lestat and with Brad Pitt's character Luis. It's kind of like that's how he sees it. Like Hannibal and Will are like Lestat and Louise, and then basically Abigail's Kristen Dunst's character. That's the way he kind of described it. Where like Abigail is essentially like Hannibal basically sees her like almost like as a daughter figure. Where that's like he admires her. He's like, you helped your dad kill a bunch of people. That I admire that. He's like. Which I thought which I think is pretty cool too. And also I like how Hannibal basically just like whenever he's like mentions like, look, I talked to your doctor, this and that, and all of a sudden he says, oh shit, like I got this, Will Graham. And they said, do you know where Will was at this time of the night? And he goes, I don't know. I mean, his mind is slipping. And I'm just thinking, you son of a bitch, you're setting him up for the pump.
Yeah, he's lying.
Yeah, you are.
He is. I think he's lost his mind. Jack, I think he's like Hannibal Lecter is a piece of shit. Just like he's like, I'm not going down for this.
So well dressed and gentlemanly piece of shit, but a piece of shit nonetheless.
I guess he's just doing this for fun. He just likes messing with people's lives, I guess.
I mean, he really has no life, so he's like, well, you know what? When I'm not killing people, I really gaslighting is really
yeah, exactly. He's like, with people. It's like,
if I'm not at the opera, or if I'm not killing people or cooking, I'm usually fucking with people because it's really fun.
I mean, it's like a hobby for him. This is like what he does for his free time. Like I like to listen to music and movies. He's like, I'm gonna screw with all these people's lives and just sit back and watch it happen.
We all got to have a hobby, but
also, no one. Also, Hannibal. Also, Will wouldn't have clearance. Wouldn't.
Oh, here's an interesting one. David Diggs says Hannibal only goes after people that offend him. That's a good point. Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't catch that.
He really does only go after people that offend. Like, like he really, but like he's like, if he feels like you're on his trail, then he's like, I heard this. He's like whispering, like, oh, maybe this and that. And then they go, I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then they go that direction. He goes, I can't believe that worked. That's like, which also Hannibal, what will need clearance to take Abigail across state lines? Like literally, he gets on a plane with her, flies her down there, and then leaves her there. Then when he has the mind losing episode, she runs away to which I'm thinking, how the fuck did she get back on the plane? Because like, unless Hannibal flew also.
Too many questions.
Yeah,
to me, I was thinking, did Hannibal fly too?
Yeah. Yeah, when Will's like in the plane and like no one's there, and they're like, "Sir, can you move on?" And
that's one of my gripes in the notes. I'm like, they literally deboarded the plane, and nobody in the cleaning crew was there. That's when they decided to tell instead afterwards. Because I've been on airplanes. When after you board the plane, they make sure the flight attendants go to make sure everybody's off the plane. They don't let the cleaning crew come on.
Yeah.
Yes, we are
yes,
discussing
yes,
the TV series.
yeah, that ran for 3 seasons. In
The
Talking
one,
Silence, we've done all of the movies. Now we're on to Hannibal, and I believe we're gonna do the show Clarice that lasted 1 season. But that's
yeah,
so
yeah. It was supposed to come out in season 2. Was supposed to, but then I guess they just abandoned it because they said I guess there was just I don't know why they did. I think it was just too expensive to make.
Hmm.
I think it was just too expensive to make, and it was the viewership wasn't really there.
well,
Because really, there's only one Clarice, and it's Jodie Foster.
Yeah, when it's not
Indeed.
Jodie Foster, it's trouble, isn't it?
I mean, have you seen one Clarice? There's like 3 Clarices, and there's only been one. Yes, we discussed Manhunt. That was the first podcast we ever done.
Manhunter.
Manhunter. Yeah, Manhunter. That was an awful movie. You know, I mean, especially the only thing that was funny at the end where it's like,
Yes, we did.
living. Man, but yeah, I will say this though. I thought this was a fun episode. I thought it was like there was some. I like that Hannibal's true nature is coming out to Abigail. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I just felt like that the airplane thing made me kind of irked me. 'Cause I'm like, how did Hannibal get there? Did he fly also a plane? Which also wouldn't that incriminate him? To like, hey, Hannibal Lecter flew on a plane as well, or did she get on the plane and fly back?
Collins, one word: Uber.
Ooh, she's gonna get an Uber that's gonna take her. But also, Uber didn't exist in 2013, buddy.
You don't know that.
In 2013, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Uber didn't exist until like 2016.
You don't know that. He could have taken a taxi.
No. What taxi's gonna take you like to a state over? I don't know any taxi that would do that.
It worked for Race to Witch Mountain, but let's.
That is a. Oh, you're gonna really tell a movie with The Rock that like, hey, it worked with The Rock. Well, yeah, I mean it's with The Rock, okay? Yes, if The Rock was her taxi driver, I will believe it. I want to see proof that The Rock was her taxi driver.
All right, here's a good question. Which Hannibal Lecter is your favorite? Brian Cox, Anthony Hopkins, Mads Mikkelsen, or Gaspard Ulliel? I think Gaspard might be the one from Hannibal Rising.
Yes, that's the one. That was the Hannibal Rising.
It seems basic, but I'm going with Hopkins.
I thought you would have said Nicholson. I really thought you would have said Nicholson. I really did.
I mean, Hopkins is like the version. Like no one is even touching it. Mikkelsen is very good and like a very close second. It's like a 1A, 1B kind of situation. But just in general, like I think Hopkins is a little bit better.
Yeah, you know what? I will say we've never seen Hopkins undefeated. You know, even like in Hannibal. I mean, even in Hannibal, the movie. I mean, he's still like he's still like up his game. I mean, like the only reason
he is the very best part of that very bad movie.
He's been in 3 movies as Hannibal. He's been Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and then what's it called? Hannibal. Yeah, correct. Which I honestly still think to be fair that I wish he would have did one more Hannibal. But they're obviously they follow the books, and there's not a conclosure book. So I mean, obviously, which kind of sucks because I think it would have been really one more Hannibal would have been great for him. That
he could always do a cameo somewhere.
Oh, how is that going to work? Oh, I am playing Hannibal Lecter. Now I'm died. Like what?
Or whatever. I don't know who he is.
He just appears in like Spaceballs 2 as Hannibal Lecter, and all of a sudden he just has a heart attack on the table. It's like canon.
I don't know. I'm just wishful thinking, but let's go to ratings for this episode.
Oh wait, you gotta ask Jason. You gotta ask Jason, like, what's his favorite Hannibal? My favorite Hannibal.
Well, before we go to Jason, David has his answer. Hopkins all day. He was my introduction to the character. Mikkelsen's Hannibal is reminiscent of Le Chiffre. I agree. That's a good point. Yes, I 100%
agree. He is reminiscent.
It is Le Chiffre.
No shit. Okay. Yes.
I mean, I love Le Chiffre, so that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, I've always said Robert Downey Jr. is a reminiscence of Tony Stark.
Be nice, Collins. Be nice.
I'm gonna let you go first, Jason. What was your favorite Hannibal Lecter?
Oh, no doubt, Hopkins. It's not a contest. I mean, that is one of the greatest performances I think we've ever seen on screen, and one of the greatest villains ever portrayed. And just every sentence that he says is just you hang on to every sentence that Hopkins says, and especially to me, Silence of the Lambs and even Red Dragon, I think he gives a real good performance there. But especially Silence of the Lambs, it's like, man, when he talks, it's like you just hang on to everything. He's his facial expressions. I don't know, just the way he pronounces words. It's so good. I mean, it's such a good performance. I can't see anybody beating it. It's like one of those things where, like when they did Aladdin and they had Will Smith play a genie, I was like, it's like, no, you just can't do it. It's Robin Williams or nobody else. Like that's what I feel like with.
I don't see anyone that's saying, "Hey, you know who my favorite character from Aladdin is? Will Smith." You know,
Will Smith,
everyone's gonna say Robin Williams. They're gonna say that's my favorite dude. They're not gonna say Will Smith. Just like when you say who's your favorite Simba, they're not gonna say Donald Glover. They're gonna say Matthew Broderick. Or I've never once seen someone say, "Hey, you know who my favorite Scar is? What's his name? Chiwetel Ejiofor." No, they're gonna say my favorite Scar is Jeremy Irons because. Yeah, I mean, just like that's literally. I mean, it's like if you do the character perfect, that character will resonate in people's heads. If you go, but I think honestly, the Hannibal in the book is closer to Mad Mikkelsen. So I do like that. If you go by book Hannibal, then Mad Mikkelsen's perfect. But if you go by just like that movie Hannibal, like Silence of the Lambs, which I would say that is my favorite as well. We are simpatical in that. I love Hopkins, especially I do hang on to everything, and especially where you just see like in Hannibal how he just murders all those people. Those people that follow him. He just goes, and stuff. And I just thought that was great and everything. And he's a really great, which I disagree with that. I think he was perfect in Red Dragon. Only thing is that makeup though was like.
You all need to understand that like Red Dragon came out in 2002, Hannibal came out in 2001. So I think Hannibal was like Outhouse, Red Dragon was Penthouse.
By that point, no one gave really a shit about Hannibal Lecter because because Silence of the Lambs was perfect. Then you have Hannibal, which everybody was so excited for.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Oh my god, we're getting a sequel to Silence of the Lambs." The first red flag was Jodie, the director of the first movie, is not directing it. It's not being written by. It was literally rushed into production by the book author because he wanted to make some money. And then the third thing was Jodie Foster's not in the movie because she didn't like the book. She said it was awful, disgusting. And so they literally had two choices. They could have got Anthony Hopkins because he didn't want to do it either, or they could have got Jodie Foster. And they chose Hopkins because they said, you can replace Clarice. Anybody can play Clarice, which I'm like, horseshit. But I'm just like, which I don't think Julianne Moore did a bad job. I was just saying,
no.
Jodie Foster is Clarice.
And anyone can replace Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling. In the words of Maury Povich, the lie detector test determined that was a lie.
I mean, really. I mean, seriously. Like, literally, they were like, literally. There was the guy Dino De Laurentiis, who, by the way, was literally. I'm going to tell you how bad this guy was at being. I'm not trying to talk shit about the dead here, but I'm just saying this guy literally said he gave the rights up after Manhunt to Silence of the Lambs to MGM because he didn't think nobody gave a shit about Hannibal Lecter. Then after Silence of the Lambs turned out to be a big freaking IP, that's when he decided, hey, we should make.
I care now. Whoop.
And they still have MGM because they're like, we're not giving the rights back to you. They still to this day like, we're not giving the rights back to them. And I just think it's so funny because I'm like, maybe it's not nobody gives a shit. Maybe it's just you don't know how to make a good property with Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, exactly.
In the words of Bart Simpson, really makes you think. But let's go to scores for this episode before we call it a night. Collins 1 to 10.
I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10.
All right, Jason.
I'm getting an 8 out of 10.
Damn, Jason.
I'll split the difference. I'll go 7. It's not it's the most. This one was okay, but it feels like we're getting all the exposition out of the way before the finale. But here's David again. I liked all 3 movies. It was disappointing that Jodie Foster didn't return. Who would you have cast as Clarice instead of Julianne Moore? Was Amy Adams around by then?
Amy Adams. I don't think she's a big.
I think she was in that one Office episode in 2005. So I don't think Amy Adams would have been like been a,
She was, I think.
I mean, she
Cruel
was in
Intentions
that
was-
Smallville episode in 2001,
Yeah.
so that would have been just around the time she got started.
Yeah, according to Office Ladies, the podcast they do for The Office, they said Amy Adams was in she just did a sitcom that got canceled. Then she was in the Office episode. Then by the time season 2 happened, she had done a movie, I think Enchanted or something, became a big actress. And so they said they were lucky they even got her because she was she's such a nice person. And she said, "Hey, I'll come back and do season 2," even though I was a big actor at that point. And she was like, I would say around 2006 is really her big upwards in stardom, because I think Enchanted really made her just go huge. And Amy Adams.
She was in a movie. She got nominated for an Oscar, and I'm forgetting the name of it. And I saw it.
She was in a lot, like American Hustle was one. She was also in The Fighter.
Yeah, it was before those. That's the first time I ever saw her.
I think Enchanted was like the big one that got her the Oscar.
That was after.
Yeah.
That was after her Oscar nomination. She did Enchanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I remember.
Here's an interesting one. Gillian Anderson, I suppose she ultimately ended up with Hannibal. That is very true. She is in this show, and I would definitely see her in there. But
Ryan Fuller said whenever he was during Comic-Con that year that season 3 was there, he said they asked him, "Who would you like to see as Clarice?" He said that he would like to see Ellen Page at the time, who was Ellen Page, not Elliot Page, but who was at the time was Ellen Page, said he would like to see her as Clarice. Or he said a woman of color. He said he'd be fine with that too. He said,
I have my choice. Kate Blanchett.
You know what? I would say, who would have been a perfect though? You know what? I'm thinking this now. This is just throwing this out there. Okay, just throwing this out there. The girl from The Boys, the blonde girl from The Boys. Starlight.
Hang on.
Starlight from The Boys.
I'm gonna find her. Hang on. BOYS. I'm almost there. Erin Moriarty.
Yeah, Erin Moriarty would have been my choice. Or the girl from what's her name? What's that one movie that just came out that's kind of like Silence of the Lambs? Longlegs. The girl from Longlegs. Her. You know what I'm talking about? The one that Longlegs.
Micah Monroe.
Yeah,
Micah Monroe.
She would have been a good choice for Clarice.
I agree. I mean, Longlegs was pretty much diet off-brand, non-union, legally distinct Silence of the Lambs. So I mean, there you go.
Okay.
You know what? We were thinking about covering that too for this, but then Ryan's like, "No, I would." And he said, "Don't worry about it."
Longlegs is grossly overrated, and make no mistake.
I still haven't seen it. I was gonna watch it if we were gonna cover it because I'm like, "Isn't it like Silence of the Lambs in a way?" And he's like, "It's really just like the poor Diet Coke of Silence of the Lambs." Nicolas Cage is in it, where he plays like the villain.
I've been interesting, who was big in 2000 and what was it?
2001. That's why I said Kate Blanchett, because she would have just been Lord of the Rings had just premiered that year.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett would have been good. I can see that. Julianne Moore was a great actress, though. She wasn't a bad choice either.
She just had
what was it?
crappy material to work with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's an Oscar-winning actress as well.
Longlegs got a lot of comparisons to Silence. I agree with those. I don't care much for it. Silence is my all-time favorite movie. I mean, that's a very good choice for your all-time favorite, David. I support that wholeheartedly.
I think Hilary Swank. I don't know if she was too young to do it at that point. She was a good actor.
Million Dollar Baby would have been 2004, so we would have been in the ballpark.
Yeah, so I think we're in the ballpark there for maybe Hilary Swank.
It says Claire Danes was offered at first before Julian Claire Danes, but she declined.
I can see that. I mean,
Kate Blanchett, Angelina Jolie was offered, Gillian Anderson, Hilary Swank, Ashley Judd, Helen Hunt, and Julianne Moore all were offered.
Julianne was a little too wooden for Clarice.
Hilary Swank, Ashley Judd. Who the fuck would cast Ashley Judd? I think that's a terrible fucking choice.
She wasn't.
Also, Helen Hunt. Who the fuck's
really good probably for that, but
I'm just saying, if you would have offered me, if I was a direct Ridley Scott and you offered me, I said those names, I would have been like, okay, Julianne Moore, out of all of those, is perfect. Everyone else, I'd be like, don't offer me those names. I'm like, I can see Claire Danes, awesome. But then when I said Helen Hunt and Ashley Judd, I'm like,
Helen
who are we casting? A Broadway play or something? Like, why are we casting them?
I could see Helen Hunt personally. Ashley Judd, yeah, not so much. No.
She's only made like one good movie, okay, and it's not Tooth Fairy. I mean, have you seen
that's
Double Jeopardy?
That's not entirely true. That's not entirely true. For the 99 Project, I watched a movie with her in it called Double Jeopardy that I actually
That's
did.
what I said. Double Jeopardy is the one movie I think other than that.
The two. Double Jeopardy.
Oh, that's the one you were. Oh, crap. Okay, well, we're on the same page and we didn't even know.
Double Jeopardy, the only movie she did, I can see absolutely like, okay, she's great in that. Other than that, what has she done that's great in the last 100 years? Okay, like what? Tooth Fairy with The Rock.
David posits "Kiss the Girls," which I have not seen.
Okay, yeah, she's fine. She's not great in that. I mean, she's fine. I would say honestly, I think Morgan Freeman is better in that movie than Ashley Judd.
He was Alex Cross, I believe.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman is like, Angelina Jolie's great in that.
Jolie, that's interesting.
Angelina Jolie is much better in that movie than.
He was
do I got the right movie? Like, is it literally is it Ashley Judd or is it Angelina Jolie? I might got the movies mixed up. You know what? I got the movies. I'm thinking of The Bone Collector. He's like, yeah, that's the one. Oh wait, yeah, okay. This is the one I'm looking right now. This is the one with Carrie Elwes and Morgan Freeman and Ashley Judd. And okay, I know what this movie is. Yeah, it's a sequel. And then the second movie is Along Came a Spider. Yeah,
right. I kind of remember that.
Yeah, that one has one of the awful opening. Remember that Along Came a Spider has an awful opening, CGI opening where a car gets flipped over a dam, and you're just like, what the fuck? It looks like something you would see out of a video game from 2001. Just like, oh. But yeah, I don't know. Ashley Judd is not my favorite actor. What about you, Jason?
How about Uma Thurman? She would have been big at that point, right?
Uma Thurman? Oh yeah. You know what? She would have been great too.
Bill? That's both 95. So
Jolie was in Bone Collector, which was made into a TV series.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was thinking that I got the movies because those two movies are very similar in nature. One's with Denzel, the other one's with Morgan Freeman. Which the one I was like Denzel isn't that one. I was like, no, that's Morgan. Like I got those confused for a second. I was like, because you ever get those movies? You ever have movies that are very similar and you get them confused and you're just like, that's not the movie. And you're like, yes, it is. And you're like, no, this is the movie. You're like, oh. It's like, yeah. But I will say one thing. What was it I was going to say? Uma Thurman. What about this? Rosie O'Donnell.
Okay, we're done. We're ending it there. We're ending it there. I pass it off to all of you watching live or the edited version. What'd you think of these episodes? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. And if you have a personal choice for your dream
Melissa McCarthy,
comment that as well. Collins, where can the people find you?
I'm going to start a petition to get Melissa McCarthy or Rosie O'Donnell into this franchise, or Roseanne Arquette, but yeah, you can find me at 3D Movie Cinema. I have a review for dropping by the time this airs. Captain America: The First Avenger. So I'm doing like a road to Brave New World, even though they're going to come out of order because I'm sure Brave New World will come out second of my reviews, and then I'll be dropping Winter Soldier and then of course Civil War. But yeah, you can find me at 3D Movie Cinema, and of course tomorrow night, me and the homies will be doing a watch party for Batman Terry, where we will be looking at Ryan's favorite Batman movie, Batman and Robin.
And Jason, I know you've got some music reviews coming up soon.
Yeah, I'm at Jason the Old Millennial, of course. Me and you have been doing a lot of reviews together lately.
Yeah, we have.
I didn't even know what we got next. We were doing ABBA, I think, next week or something.
I believe so, yeah.
I don't know when, but I think that's what we're going to do. ABBA's probably first album. Start that series on Nick's channel, probably. I don't know. Yeah,
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Besides that, I've been just I've got a couple more boxes full of physical media from my parents' house that I've been going through and adding to my collection. So I got some more to do on that. So that's what I've been doing the whole week. It's just showing what I grabbed from my parents' house, and then I don't know. After that, I don't know.
Well, both of their links will be in the description. Give them a subscribe. As far as this channel goes, and if you're watching live, then tomorrow my review for the original My Bloody Valentine drops in honor of a certain holiday, and I'm joined there by Kyle Fletz from Fletz Pop Culture 13. So check that one out when it drops, and stay tuned for all the content coming to the channel very soon. But for Jason Collins, for Jason Collins, for Jason the Old Millennial, for Matt Wyatt, who was edited in post, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. You all have a very good night. Hit the thing.
Sharpton for president, y'all. We're out.
There it is.